All right, this is the proportional relationships review for your final exam. We're going to go through 3 different topics today with this, and we're going to start with unit rates. So question 1 says, a recipe calls for 2/3 cup of sugar to make 4/5 gallons of iced tea. How much sugar is needed to make 1 gallon of iced tea? Now I'm going to underline this because that tells us, whenever it says 1 gallon, that tells us we're finding a unit rate. Now, when we did unit rates way back in the beginning of the year, we talked about how we're going to set up a little label to tell us what numbers go on top and what numbers go on the bottom. The 1 is always on the bottom. So that's talking about the iced tea. Now, the other is how much sugar. So the sugar value is going to go on top. So to find the unit rate, you're just going to set this equation up and divide. So 2/3 cups of sugar, so sugar goes on top, so 2/3, divided by 4/5 gallons of iced tea, so 4/5 goes on the bottom. Now I'm just going to bring my calculator into this. So 2/3 divided by 4/5 gives us 5/6. So my answer is 5/6 cups of sugar. All right, next one. Number 2, it says Kathy's heart beats 60 times in 3/4 minute. Find the unit rate. So what we're finding is beats per minute. That word per tells us that we're finding the unit rate and we're going to be dividing. So the label that we're going to set up is beats divided by minutes. That's what that word means, or beats over minutes. So it's going to beat 60 times in 3/4 of a minute. So take our calculator, 60 divided by 3/4 will give us 80. So that would be 80 beats per minute. That would be your unit rate. Now let's go to the next page and apply this unit rate. So example 1, it says, let's graph this data on the table, okay, or the table on the graph. So X, Y means you're going to go over 1, up 4. That's your first point. You're going to plot this on the graph. 2, 8 would be your next. 3, 12, 4, 16, and 5, 20. So here's your graph. Now I'm going to take a straight edge to connect. Now it says, is the relationship proportional? So 2 ways you can figure this out. If you're looking at the graph, you could say yes, because the line is straight. And it goes through the origin. So it's a straight line that goes through the origin. That's if you're looking at the graph. You could also look at the chart or the table, and you can divide to see if all the unit rates are the same. Remember, you're going to do y divided by x. So if I do the first one, I have 4 divided by 1, which is 4. The next one is 8 divided by 2, which is 4. 12 divided by 3, which is 4. 16 divided by 4, again, it's 4. And 20 divided by 5 is 4. So you could say yes, because all of the unit rates are the same. So either one of those reasonings would work. Now, when x is equal to 1, what is the value of y? So when x is 1, go up to y. Y is 4, so write that as an ordered pair. That would be 1, 4. Now, constant of proportionality is the same thing as unit rate. We already know the unit rate. We already found that. The unit rate is 4. We call that our K value. Now, the last thing says, which 2 points are always on the graph of a proportional relationship? They often ask this question. The 2 points are always 0, 0, because a proportional relationship goes through the origin. And the other one is always 1, K. or 1R, they like to call it. K is the unit rate. So in this case, the point is 1, 4. So if you go up to the graph, you can see 0, 0 is on it, and 1, 4 is always on it. So that point, when x is equal to 1, identifies the unit rate. The unit rate is going to be your y value. All right, so let's try example 2. Find the constant of proportionality from the given table. Constant of proportionality just is your unit rate. So if you're going to find unit rate from the table, that means you're going to do y divided by x. So let's do that. We have 15 divided by 5, which is 3. We have 18 divided by 6, which is 3. 21 divided by 7, which is 3. And 24 divided by 8, which is 3. I'm not even going to do that last one. The hole punch is in the way. But that means that your unit rate, or your K, is 3. All right. The last thing I want to talk about is the equation of a proportional relationship. I'm going to remind you that the proportional relationship always has the equation y equals kx. Now, K stands for your unit rate, or your constant of proportionality. So let's read through this and then write our equation. It says the cost of oranges in a grocery store is directly proportional to the number of oranges purchased. Jerry paid $2.52 for 6 oranges. If P represents the cost in dollars and represents the number of oranges purchased, which equation would best represent this relationship? So in order to figure out the equation, you actually have to know the unit rate. So let's set up the unit rate. We're talking about how much it costs per orange. I'll give you a little hint. Money always goes on top. So set up your label so we can find our unit rate first. So we're going to do $2.52 for 6 oranges. So $2.52 for 6 oranges is 42 cents. That's your unit rate. That's your K value. Now, if it's y equals kx is your equation, okay, the y value is the top value. That's your money. So this says that P is going to represent the cost. So y is P. The K value is 42 cents. That's your unit rate. Your X value is your number of oranges on the bottom. N represents the number of oranges, so that would be your N. So the equation that we have is P is equal to 42 cents times N. All right, that was a lot. Let's do that again. So bananas cost 45 cents per pound. What is the equation to find C, the cost of P pounds of bananas? All right, so remember we need to find the unit rate first. Unit rate is y divided by x. Money always goes on top. So this actually already tells us the price per pound. So our unit rate is 0.45. We already know that. So let's set up our equation y equals kx. The y is the money, and that would be the cost, C. K is your unit rate, 0.45. X is your pounds, which would be represented by P. So your equation is C equals 0.45 times P. All right, go ahead and try the problem set at home tonight, and we will go over that in class tomorrow.